Welcome to Gateway Community Charter School Board Meeting, October the 8th, 4:45 p.m. Welcome, everyone. We're so glad to see all of you. We have one member we're waiting for, but we're going to go and get started anyway, because I know some of you do have to leave. And so with that, I will do roll call of our board members right now. Mr. Block.
Here.
Mr. Anderson. Here. Mr. Turner.
Present.
Mr. Mandrick and Lily Campbell. Mr. Mandrick is on his way and he should be arriving pretty soon. Board members, we do have two addendums to our board meeting. Addendum number one is director salary schedule revision. And it is an item under 11.1, and it will be discussed, but it is as an addendum. Did not get to the board in time for the agenda.
I move we add it to the agenda.
I have a second? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And the second one is take action after posting the board meeting, and it is SAVA SCUSD real estate negotiations. And that's an item that will be discussed under 4.4 SAVA real estate negotiations. I will entertain a motion for that one.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so that takes care of the addendum number 1 and number 2. So thank you very much for that. Do we have public comments today?
Yes, ma'am, we do.
All right, thank you. The public comment is from Lily Campbell. I am in public. And what I wanted to say is that we are so proud of our superintendent. I know some of you were there when she was recognized and awarded the exemplary woman in education. And it is something to have that. And so on behalf of the board, Dr. Peterson, we are so proud of you and we love you. And congratulations on your success.
That was just beautiful. Thank you so much for your kindness. It was an honor to accept on behalf of the GCC.
Thank you. And I guess is someone going to later on with this? Okay, that would be great. All right. And so with that, we will now move to the superintendent's update.
So, just wanting to reiterate that we did have a really nice conference. And Dr. McCormick and I presented all about design thinking and leadership, and was very well received. We did actually go out and do some yoga in the bright, dark, early dawn moments, also to take care of ourselves, and it really was an honor to be there. And Dr. McCormick very nicely videotaped my presentation, so it was very nice. My children all got to hear it. So I definitely want to thank you for that. I have met this last week with each of cabinet, and we have created growth plans and goal setting for the coming year for each cabinet member, as well as discussed their team plan for growth. This last week, we also, for the first time, had a Women's Fall social lunch and craft project, just really trying to work in the GCC to continue to build relationships. We have a lot of new faces, still trying to get to know new people in the office. So we've got psychologists and LVNs and clerk people and lots of changes. And so we're still rebuilding relationships across. So it was very nice. We painted orange and got paint all over ourselves and that kind of good stuff. So we also, which we will talk about later on the agenda, need to be aware, and we've told the board in the past, the City of Sacramento, with the passage of Measure U, has made clear that we will be moving off the George Sims Center campus. And so we will talk to you later in the agenda about that item. Last week, I was able to attend the El Dorado Women's Fund event in El Dorado County. which also was peopled by a couple of political people that we have interactions with, including Miss Francie Heim, who will be the person who's doing our site review for Twin Rivers charters. So it was very informative. And this week, last week, I did the futures and the epic fall superintendent presentations. I believe I have 2 left. Don't know, it feels like they go on forever, but I think I have 2 left. I think I have HLA and CCCS K8 left. Is that what you're thinking? Yes. Okay. Pretty soon it won't be fall, it'll be the winter presentation. Also, Jason and I are very honored to have been invited to be a part of an executive leadership group that CALSA is hosting downtown. It is a group that will be meeting across the year to deeply discuss things related to leadership and innovation and how to grow our continuous improvement competency, both as individuals and as leaders in our organization. And it's primarily peopled by superintendents in the greater state, really, don't you think? Yeah. So it was quite an honor to be asked to be a part of it.
And who's the?
It's CALSA, and then the facilitator is Patrick
Sweeney. Okay.
Former Napa superintendent. And also Dr. Lyle Kurtman is involved in that program with us. And it is based on a book that Dr. Kurtman and Michael Fullen wrote together. So around coherence, believe it or not. So, and then we do want to bring the attention to the board. I don't have the magazine. Does somebody? Oh, here I do have the magazine. GCC was actually recently awarded an award in this beautiful magazine called Learning by Design. And it was an award that was given to the GCC and A4E, our architect. And we are somewhere in here where this little thing is. So it is a nice page spread on our Rancho Del Paso site. And it is the Outstanding Project Award for New School Construction. So it's very nice to have been honored for our new school construction project there. You can see the beautiful pictures of Rancho Del Paso. Yes. So I think that's it for the superintendent's update.
Any comments? Board members? Anything at all? Well, I like my chairs, I can roll back and forth and see everybody.
How does this get submitted?
You know, I don't know. We were quite surprised because the magazine and an email announcing the award kind of came simultaneously. It is my instinct is that A4E may have submitted it because it is, of course, their architecture project.
And they've been involved in a lot of designs of schools
Yes.
like this, so
Yes.
that's great.
That is beautiful. The recognitions just keep coming in. How about that? Progress. Thank you so much for the report and all of the hard work again. It seems if I keep saying this every board meeting, but we do appreciate all of the hard work, so thank you. All right, and now we are moving to study sessions, if there's nothing else in the superintendent's update. And
So I would like to, if that's okay.
Yes, I would like you to do
to introduce, we have an item that's around the Higher Learning Academy Yoga and Mindfulness Program. There were some questions regarding the program and what we were doing there and what its outcomes were. And so Christian Devine and Aaron Marston are both here. We have a presentation for you, and I know they're very excited to talk to you about how yoga and mindfulness has helped their site.
Hello, everyone. Oh, perfect. Okay, do you want to?
Sure, I'll take it.
Okay.
Yeah. Hello, everyone.
hello.
My name's Christian. For if you haven't met yet,
Chris.
that's right.
Yeah.
Cool. Oh, no more. Hi,
Hi,
Christian.
Christina.
Hey, Christine, nice to meet you. So I want to honor your time and energy and space, so we'll make it as brief as we can, but also be here to answer any questions that you have before we have a short presentation for you. Let's see here, where are we at? Yeah, so what we do at Higher Learning Academy is yoga and mindfulness. We started last year around late October and have continued right in through this year as well. Teaching the kids yoga, mindfulness, postures, and a number of different tools in order that they can put in their belt and have when they go out to their day, not only in classroom, but outside of classroom as well. A little bit of background about me. I own my own company called You Cannot Be Contained. We're a Yoga Alliance, I'm a Yoga Alliance certified instructor, and so is everybody who is on my crew. We have about 12 of us. Only about one of those persons, I think it works out best to have 2 people there when we're working with the kids, one for a little behavior support and then also one to teach the class as well. So we just have 2 people that come to the class. My background is I've been doing yoga and mindfulness ever since I got out of high school, either on and off. I've been part of 2 very large yoga organizations. One was up in Southern Oregon and another in Colorado. So it's pretty much been my bread and butter ever since coming out of high school. I've also put on youth soccer camps, was a counselor there, and then also worked at the YMCA. So blending my passion for uplifting our youth with yoga and mindfulness. Our approach at HLA is simple: mindfulness exercise, breathing techniques, and yoga postures. Some of that evidence based from the Harvard Medical School put out in their magazine back in January 2016 about yoga for school-age children. They said some of the evidence-based benefits were that it offered psychological benefits, reduced anxiety and stress in children, improved balance, strength, aerobic capacity, again, improved both physical and mental health in school children. It helps children with attention deficit disorder, or ADD, improves focus, memory, self-esteem, performance, and classroom behavior, aids in management, ADHD, and improving core symptoms of ADHD as well, including attentiveness, hyperactivity, and impulsivity. And this is coming from the Harvard Medicine School, so that was a really good one to share as far as the validity of what we're offering our students there, our scholars. And what we do flows right in with our key initiative work at HLA. I don't have as much experience on it, but we did draw down some of the 5 core competencies about the collaborative and academic, social, and emotional learning that's provided at HLA, and I believe throughout all the charter schools. Yeah? Okay, awesome. The 5 core competencies, which are self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, relationship skills, and responsible decision-making. To continue along that line, research strongly suggests the school-based programs that enhance these SEL competencies help students succeed not only academically, but personally as well. So early evidence also begins to show that yoga and meditation helps the students be more self-aware, which is exactly what we're looking for, manage emotions, which is exactly what we're looking for, enhance the relationships, again, same, and make better decisions.
It also ties in with our CKH work as well. So social emotional learning as well as the capturing kids' hearts.
Exactly, and we have a short couple, any questions so far? We've been ripping off a lot of information, so if you got one, yeah, go ahead.
Christian, I just want to ask, what
Yeah.
age group can you work with?
Thank you. Excellent question. So what do we actually do there? We work with we can work with any age group. We work with, at HLA, we work with all the students, so K through 8. Obviously, so exactly what we do. So K through 2, we can do about 30 minutes with kindergarten through 2nd grade. 3rd through 5th is about 45 minutes, and then 6th through 8, about an hour. Scratch that, 45 to 6th and 7th, and then 8 is an hour. And that happens twice a month. So it's not too much time out of their everyday scholastic learning. But, you know, my feeling, and I know Aaron's as well, is this is one of the keys that helps provide support for scholastic learning, for their math tests, for their English tests. And I mean, that's our end goal, is to give them as many tools as we can to support them doing better in school, right? So we took a few videos. Thank you for the question. I'll make sure I got the right button here.
I don't see it on there.
Next. Took a little video, threw a little music in. Yeah, so obviously the approach is a little bit different. Hang on one second. A little bit different with the K through 2. We might add in some more game type activities. As 3rd through 5th, a little bit more structure, and then 6 through 8, a bit more challenging poses. We'll get more into that here. Here's a few things that our scholars are saying.
My name is Allie. I am in 7th grade, and I feel very relaxed, calm, and relieved after doing yoga.
Can you guys hear that? And what are some of your favorite poses?
I like the scorpion and the warrior.
Awesome. Yeah.
My name is Renan, and I'm in 4th grade. I'm 9 years old, and how I feel after I come off my yoga class is great, awesome, and happy. I practice at home with my sister, and she only 4, but she really likes it.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Raymond.
My name is James. I'm in 6th grade.
And James, how do you feel after you come out of yoga class?
Good,
Can you give me some more descriptive words about how you feel?
excited, happy.
Awesome. And what are some of your favorite poses?
Tree pose, upward dog, downward dog.
Fantastic. Thanks, James.
And how I feel about body yoga is calm and my taste better. And my favorite poses are down dog and that.
Fantastic. Thank you, Maribel. Cool. And I don't know, important to show you a little about what the kids are saying. Our curriculum for the yoga is we have something different each month. So September, for example, we base our theme on understanding your feelings. We have an overview. We teach a specific mindful moment. That last month it's called 5-count breath. So we teach the kids how to breathe in through your nose for a count of 5. They count for themselves, and then breathe out through their mouth for a count of 5, going back down. We do that 5 times. We've also then have a full-length class. We've got worksheets and journals that we implement, samplers for teachers, and then suggested reading material as well. The samplers for teachers are just little snippets that they can take back to their classroom. And during the month, we only see them twice, so it's little reminders that they can have. If they need someone to calm down, they can remember to take 5, and it's a little reminder card, and they can go take 5 breaths in a mindful moment. I think we've got a lot of different options for that too in other areas of the school as well.
We implement them in the office as well. If students are getting in trouble and they come to the office and they are escalated, we have them take the 5.
Yeah.
And it really helps de-escalate the situation.
And then each month we build on the last month, but obviously with a different theme. So October is anti-bullying, same subtitles as well. And then November, and each month we do a little something different. So we've got individuality coming, gratitude and giving, being brave, making friends, management, me and the environment, and then finishing up in May with staying healthy. Questions on any of those?
Yeah, and you said you give teachers a little card. Do they do
Yeah.
anything in the classroom, or is it just for them if
Just for
children
them
are
if they
stressed?
want to.
They don't do any follow-up or anything in the classroom?
Only if, that's under, if they would like to. Yeah, it's there for them to choose if they want to follow. Yeah. That's a good point, where I was thinking about talking about maybe doing some type where I go back every week or so and do a follow-up 3 days later, and just another little reminder. So that's a good point. And then one of our parents is also, I believe she's a volunteer staff as well.
Nope, she's one of our paras, our guided reading para.
Guided reading parents, yeah, Tanisha, and she said a little something too, so I'll play her.
Hello.
Oh, sugar.
Hey there.
Everybody turn your head.
Yeah, turn your head like this. So what you do is you stand on one leg.
Us either. We can just listen to her voice.
Yeah, do you want me to turn this on so it's less distracting?
No,
No, it's okay. All right, you got it.
Hello, my name is Tanisha Mitchell, and I am a paraeducator here at the HLA. I push in to classrooms daily to help students with homework and reading, and one of the things I noticed is that students really needed the help to be able to be calm and to be able to be still so they can understand what's going on in the classroom. And so me and my son have always taken the initiative to do yoga outside of school, and we always felt like that was a missing element during the regular day school session. And so when we came to HLA and I met Christian, I figured that they were on the right track because they had already started yoga here. And so it's just a real blessing to be somewhere where they're implementing yoga and mindfulness. And I feel really good about being here because this is something that's important that our kids really need. And so I just want to say thank you to you both for having us be a part of all this. And I know that our future is brighter with you guys here. So thank you.
Awesome, thank you. And then can you tell us your son's name and what grade he's in?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
His name is Sorrel Mitchell, and he is in the 2nd grade. He's currently working on being a scholar that has integrity and can sit and be able to listen to his lessons. So I think that having yoga part of his day is helping him do that. So
Awesome. Thanks, Tanisha.
no problem.
Yeah, I love Tanisha. And then we also got a little input from our behavior specialist, Jeffrey Munch, who is awesome and obviously on full-time, works closely with Aaron. He wrote a little something for us, good achievements. I looked up Darrell S., who frequently went to yoga as a 5th grader. That was last year. In previous years, he was receiving suspensions about once per month. And Jeff can attest to that he engaged in behaviors requiring restraints to be utilized at least once every 2 months, which is a lot. At the second half of the year, after yoga had been in progress for a little while, we started about in October, he went down to suspendable behaviors once every 3 months and required 0 restraints from December to the end of the year. So we thought that was a really big win. And then James J., another 5th grader, received 5 days of suspension from August to December, then no suspensions until the end of the year. Again, just right around that exact same time we were there. Those 2 students were definitely some of my highest flyers in terms of behaviors caused by explosive anger. Anecdotally, I recall both students last year outside of their classroom doing stretches that you taught them in replacement of challenging behaviors. That was pretty cool anecdote from Jeff. And that's what we got. And then a little bit of picture reel. Oh, that's a good reminder, actually. We have a staff class once a month as well. So the staff, if they choose to participate, can come, and it's after school and get a little feel for what the kids are doing.
Yeah.
Obviously, they listen. So it makes it a little different.
I do also have,
Yes.
in support of what you said for the board, another resource that clearly shows the research and the connection of the research to the social emotional learning component. So I'm going to share that with them, but it just really is another kind of exclamation point to what you've said about why we make the connections between the yoga, the mindfulness, social emotional learning, and academic outcomes, right?
Mhm.
All kind of married together. So I'm just giving that to the board. I just wanted you to be aware of what I was.
Awesome, fantastic.
Yes.
So, Christian,
Yes.
Have you worked with special ed students before using your techniques?
I have worked with special ed students, but not yoga specifically. I would also do massage therapy, or got certified at one time. My first job out was working with kids with autism.
Mhm.
So that was my experience.
How do you think yoga would fit into that environment?
It's interesting. I've heard really good stories and I've heard tougher stories. So I think it's a case by case scenario. What I've heard is that their balance, some kids with challenges, often their balance is oddly really good, and they can, stand and do some of the postures that maybe other kids can't. But just bottom line, I think it's good for just about anybody. If you're breathing and moving, to learn how to breathe in and breathe out, and to challenge yourself with balance or postures and physical movement, can only support you, finding your center and becoming better. But in the healing world, I don't try to make any claims or say that it's going to do something or make you better. Yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it's just it's more. I believe in this. I think it's very good.
Yeah.
And I know you're working, with some kids that are going through a lot of stresses and emotion, but I also think of special ed kids who have their own stresses.
Oh yeah.
And would yoga play a good role in helping them diffuse some of that and to relax more?
Yeah, the short
Yes.
answer is absolutely. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, there are some students that we have seen some significant changes with their behaviors based on prior years, some of the things that Mr. Munch attested to, and then incorporating yoga into the daily routine with our students and them being helped out by it and being in the office with us and diffusing them, hey, what's your favorite yoga pose? And then they kind of snap out of why they're upset. And now they're standing in my office showing me their favorite yoga pose. It helps break the ice and get them to have a conversation. So it does help a lot.
How do your parents accept the program? And what's the feedback from some of the parents?
That's a very good question. I've had a couple concerns when I was doing my orientation, but talking to them that it's not religious. It is a way that we are incorporating social emotional learning. It's helping them decompress and breathe and be focused with their academics. Helped the majority of the parents. There was one parent that didn't, and I invited her to come sit in on the class and just come to watch the class and to see what's happening. Because a lot of parents, it's a fear of not knowing of what's going to happen and wanting to know what's going to happen with your child. So to be very open and come sit in on a class. And once I said that to her, she was like, oh, okay, my child can do yoga.
Yeah.
She actually never sat in on the class. She was just like, okay, that's
I've
good.
actually heard about 2 other teachers at HLA have done that exact same thing. And we also offer a waiver at the beginning of the year too, saying, hey, if you would not like your student to participate, that's okay.
I know they're before, but not at this time, they have had some concerns. And that's why I wanted to see how you're doing.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Jason, have we done a press release on this?
We have not, but that is something.
But I've been watching it. It seems like that. I guess, and finally, on your staff presentation, are board members invited to go?
Yes,
Absolutely.
of course, that was coming
Yes.
up. Please, yeah. I will send a schedule to Patches, and maybe she can send that out. That would be awesome. Yeah, you're all invited.
Participate, yeah, not to watch, but to participate. Now, they can't come to watch, it has to be participate.
All right, fair enough.
I always say I will do anything as long as there's no pictures being taken.
Okay.
A lack of flexibility. I made Christine promise that when we did yoga at the retreat. I said, as long as no one's taking pictures.
No trouble.
Can someone tell me what's the
Yes.
difference between a special ed student, behavior student?
So special ed students are students that qualify for special education services based on certain criteria that gets them eligible for special ed. There are students that have behavior issues that do not qualify for special ed services. And so it's a lot of work that we have to do at the school to see. So if a student has behaviors, we sit down, have meetings with parents, have SST meetings. If the things that we're not doing aren't working, then we pull in special ed to help and support. And based on the work that we are doing proactively before, then that either gives them an assessment plan or not. And then that puts them into special education after a battery of testing to be done to make sure that they will qualify for special ed. Dr. McCormick, anything I missed on that?
And you could have a student that has behaviors that may be their qualifying condition that makes them eligible for special education. So they're not mutually exclusive, but often they're not necessarily connected either.
And some of them might do a 504 instead of a regular
They just need some
IEP.
different accommodations to help them be
Yeah,
successful.
right.
So are we considering this a pilot program that we may expand to some of the other schools?
That would be fantastic. You're going right along the same lines I was looking forward to. Invite other schools as well. I got about a dozen teachers, and I'm sure more, that would be happy to, along with similar qualifications to myself, they're happy to be a part of that. And so
And what about high school students?
high school students works as well.
Do you think there would be a
Oh,
predilection towards one? Since we have a
We're negotiating.
high school.
I think yoga is good for any age level, kindergarten all the way through older generations. So
Seniors.
My suggestion is, one of the things that we do in the GCC is we give each school permission and ability to differentiate, decide what's best for them, et cetera. That's how you came upon this at
Yeah.
HLA, for being what's best for HLA. So we would never say to everybody in the GCC that you must do this. But what we do is if there's something that we think is interesting and that others might find interesting, we would find a way to have you present at maybe a principal, vice principal's meeting, maybe the same presentation.
perfect. Yeah.
And then they could explore, is there a fit for them in their world or not? So that's kind of how we would do it. Just to be completely transparent, we do have a number of schools that are primarily Slavic in population where yoga or mindfulness would be a difficult place for them to understand, at least now.
Mhm.
But those are good discussions to have.
Sounds good.
Okay, anything else, board members? Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Christian.
We really appreciate your time coming to give us information.
You're welcome. We appreciate your time as well.
I'm just gonna give you,
Thank
so you
you.
know what I do.
Awesome.
Thanks to both of you, and if you need to leave,
Yes,
That's
you
okay.
are free to leave, yes.
Yes.
No demerits given for that.
Yes.
All right.
Thanks
I'll meet
for
you out there.
Okay. Great.
thanks again.
Thank you guys.
So,
It was a pleasure meeting
answer
all
some
of
of our questions, mine anyway.
you. Any other questions? Everybody good? Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Have a great evening. All right, we continue with our study session, and we are now for legislative update. Who's gonna do it? You gonna do it?
Mr. Sample, I keep pointing over there, Mr. Sample's gonna do it.
All right.
I'll add in if I need to.
Okay, good evening, Board President, Dr. Peterson, members of the board. Just want to kind of give you a snapshot of what's happening in the legislative world as we quickly move towards the conclusion of this session. You may have heard in the news that AB 1505 and 1507 both were signed into law by the governor. Actually, on Monday, late last week, the official unveiling, and it was done just as the governor had said in terms of CTE as well as the charter school world. Both were at the signing table for, I think, what most have called the kind of kumbaya moment. So Dr. Peterson and I will be tracking now the implementation side of how this rolls out and the effects of it, which, again, as we said before, we've kind of been on top of that since the beginning of this legislative cycle. So we're happy to see that this has kind of came to this place. Another bill that we've been tracking very closely, AB 967, which would have changed the way, if you remember, in which we solicit stakeholder input on LCAPs, as well as it would have made it where the district would approve the LCAP versus the county office. That bill, as of this morning, we received notice that the governor has vetoed that bill. And his kind of veto message was that he felt that 1505 and 1507 was enough for the charter world right now, and therefore he did not feel that that was a bill necessary at this time. So therefore it goes into kind of a suspense file and becomes a 2-year bill, which means it could come up next session, but we'll keep watching that. Are there any questions?
Any questions, board members? We saw the bill when it was, when the governor signed.
Are there any other bills that you think would affect us that went into the 2-year bill cycle?
Yes, so there is the McCarty bill, which was the overall charter moratorium. That is a 2-year suspense bill. And so, again, I feel like that bill's not going to come back up because they got the non-classroom based moratorium in 1505, which is really what they were trying to accomplish with that. So, yeah.
You might as well stay standing because the next item, the next
empowering
item is you
possibilities.
as well.
All right. So, speaking of charter renewal, just want to update the board in terms of our negotiations, our communication, with the Yolo County Office of Education staff. At this time, staff, we are working, Dr. Peterson, as soon as today was in the document, making changes and revising, as well as our Ed Services team for a preparation to submit the charter on October the 23rd. We'll be submitting that to the Yolo County Office of Education staff, at which time on November the 19th will be the annual board presentation. As you may remember, part of our MOU agreement with Yolo County was that each year we would do a board presentation. And so they've asked that we do that on November the 19th. And then on December the 17th, the county office will hold both a public hearing and board decision the same night on the charter petition. And we feel that that's a workable timeline, and we look forward to the process with Yolo County.
So November the 19th.
Yes,
Tuesday, will be board
will be our annual presentation.
And your president, and you would like for your board to be present?
No, we
No?
No, we haven't done that. It's also the
Yeah.
mandate.
Okay,
And so we will definitely reach out and let you know.
okay, when we need it. Okay, great, thank you. Anything else?
Thank you.
I will say, that everyone has been putting in a lot of time and energy since last year. It's a year-long process to do renewal. And I know that Dr. Kosh and Mr. Gillespie and Dr. McCormick and others have added value to that document. Now we're in the final stages. We did think that we were going to be doing our annual report on October 23rd. And one of the reasons we're reporting these details to you today is that Yolo County very nicely asked if we would use the time frame that you have just had outlined instead, because they are seating a new board member on October 23rd. So it is no harm to us, and they are in a very positive place. Did we already report to the board on your visit with Yolo County?
We did.
Okay, so
Okay.
we're looking forward to that being a very positive experience.
Great, and you will let us know when we need it, if we need it, when and where. Thank you. Okay, 4.4, Solvency USD real estate negotiation. That was the item that was on our addendum, so.
So that's, I'm just gonna give you a very brief update on that. So as you should be aware, our, I can do this, our Sac City site at the SIM Center has been a interesting and longer term relationship than we ever thought it would be. But without us knowing it, the Measure U coming forward has changed that relationship in the sense that they would like to take the center back for the community. We are using a substantial amount of the space. And so Steinberg's office is working with us to communicate to Sac City that we need to be out of that building, and therefore we need to substitute a different site location for that site, or we won't have a place to serve kids. We have been negotiating on a wonderful location. It is going to all come to a head very quickly, and I want to make sure that the board is aware that we are planning on making a very significant investment in a long-term lease in a facility that is much bigger than what we're currently using at the Sim Center. So it comes with significant investment of current funds, including a significant investment in making it ADA compliant. But the reason we bring it to your attention is that it is all concurrently happening with working with Sac City to approve the substitution of the site. And it may all feel like it's happening on top of each other to make this happen. There are other parties negotiating for the same location, and we may have to sign the lease very quickly as to not lose the site. So if that's necessary, we may be signing and approving it at the next board meeting, or signing it and approving it at a special board meeting. But we are doing everything we can to ensure we have the best possible site for our students at Sac City. But just want to make you aware that it's a bit complicated at the moment.
Board members, I
So-
know you.
What's the cost of this? I mean, you're saying it's a significant,
We have agreed to $450,000 in ADA improvements. They have agreed to do minimal as necessary painting and care to have it ready for us. It's not that the 450,000 is that significant. We have the reserves in SADA to handle that. It is that it's a multi-year lease. We would be going into for more space than we currently need, but certainly not more space than we're able to create program for. It is less about the actual amount, which Mr. Business has assured me we can handle in the budget, as it is the timing I'm telling you about, which makes it feel a bit challenging, because usually we would be able to have a couple months of conversations, couple months of showing you what's happening. There will not be much time for that, the way this is currently
So
coming
the
down.
timeline, first, we have to be out of the SIM Center. Very fast. Is that what I heard?
We have to be out of the Sim Center very fast, but on top of that,
Mhm.
we have to outbid the other person
Oh.
paying for the facility, or we will lose it. So both are happening concurrently with us figuring out the Sac City substitution of site. That's why it says complicated.
Well, are we privileged to know where the location will be, or?
You have had it shared with you before.
And I would say that without.
Yes, we are being,
Okay,
Yes.
cautious.
That's
Yes.
fine.
Okay,
And again, it's an item that should be discussed in closed session.
Yeah.
Okay. all right. Well, that's it, okay. All right, so we are now moving to our consent agenda items. 6.1 to 6.6, adoption of the minutes of the September 24th. Personnel consent agenda items, purchases over 30,000. Sava overnight field trip to Santa Clara University, which sounds exciting. Revised EL reclassification criteria and the new GCC job descriptions. So I will now entertain a motion to adopt the consent agenda items.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, now we're open for discussion. Any discussion on the 6.1 to 6.6 items? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, the voting sign of aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. So the consent agenda items passed.
Well,
Yes,
do we want to, for the minutes, just acknowledge that Bruce is here, or is that necessary?
Bruce is here.
Bruce came to during the.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, she has it,
Okay.
yeah,
All right.
yes, thank you, but
He hasn't
We
left the
saw it.
building.
he's here. Thank you very much for bringing it to our attention. Okay. We are now under 11 personnel. 11.1 revised salary schedule, Director of Business Services. And that was another one of the addendums, addendum number 1.
So
So-
I will speak to it, and then if Aaron has anything to add. So you are most likely aware that our Director of Business Services left, and we have
Yes.
been in the middle of interviewing candidates for the Director of Business Services. During that time, it became clear that our current salary schedule was significantly less than what is on the market, which was creating difficulties for Aaron to be able to attract a quality applicant. We have an applicant in mind, and we have had to say no to one candidate already because we couldn't come close to their particular needs. But the candidate that we are currently looking at this change, which the change you are looking at will mirror the Director of Community Engagement line. So it is a director salary schedule that is the same as a director schedule we already have, but is also classified. So it just creates an alignment. And Mr. Business and I both believe that this is closer to allowing him to make an offer that could be accepted and allow him to be appropriately staffed.
Okay, and I did see the schedule. Board members, do you have any questions or anything on this item? Well, if not, I will entertain a motion to accept the revised salary schedule.
Move approval.
Move approval?
Second.
Second? Any other discussion on the item? Any discussion? Questions? Hearing none, all in favor of the revised salary schedule for Director of Business Service, voting sign of aye. Aye. Opposed? No opposition. The ayes have it. So it passes.
Should there be a roll call vote instead of take 2/3?
It's not a resolution, it's just a vote, but
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
it's not a
enough.
resolution, just a vote. And if we had had some that did not, then we would. So, all passed. Okay. And we are now moving to, announcement, next board meeting.
The next board meeting is scheduled for October the 22nd, and it will be held at the GCC Central Office, 445.
All right,
I will not be there.
Yes, sir, I have my notes.
okay. And I want to thank you, principals and principals for allowing us to come tonight and to be here, and thank you very much for your hospitality. Everybody's so quiet. Yes.
So, under board comments, so obviously last night there was some news about Twin Rivers closing some schools.
Yes.
So do we have any, I don't know where these schools are located. Are they within our geography where it might possibly impact us being able to recruit some students?
The one that I read this morning, possibility of Allison School, which is on Don Julio, and the other one, Hillsdale, which is on Madison and Hillsdale coming in. Possibility, those were the two that were mentioned in the paper, along with the possibility of others, and the high school being closed. So they're in the North Highlands area.
Okay.
Both of the schools in the North Highlands
And you
area.
got Paso Heights too.
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
so, Director Anderson, we've really been tracking this since the beginning of when kind of Twin Rivers created what's called a student housing committee. They have a number of schools in Del Paso Heights as well as the North Highlands area, and so.
Fairbanks. is
Yeah,
one.
Fairbanks is
Mhm.
one,
Yeah.
Maury Avenue Early
Yes.
Childhood Education Center. So we've kind of been tracking what's happening, including they're gonna close or consolidate Martin Luther King Junior High School and Rio Terra Junior High. And so we're just kind of seeing where that goes and keeping our fingers in the pulse.
Right now, they have a commission or a committee
Yeah.
to look at all of the entities of it. Yes.
Yeah, my concern in reading the article is with the declining enrollment and with the new change in the legislation, although it doesn't directly impact our existing charters, it just to me sends a message that maybe renewals may become a little more difficult, I think. And I think we
I
should
thought about
be
that too.
aware of that. I worked at Rio Terra. I'm surprised that that is one of the ones that's on the list. It was usually had a very healthy enrollment.
I was just gonna say that, their declining enrollment should only affect us if they go into negative status, with their budget. That's a reporting status through the county and the state. That's the only way that fiscal can become part of the discussion. And that's not to say they may not go into negative status. But if they go into negative status, Jack, you're absolutely right, then fiscal impact can be considered. But it is much more considered for a new charter.
Yeah, right.
It is not for a renewal.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
I agree with you. I understand that. I just think that it's one in which, internally, I think it's one we have to be aware of. Again, working with the board members at the various districts that we have charters in.
Okay, any other closing comments, board members? All right,
I would
we,
just say, I am really glad that the board didn't direct us to try to create charters in each of those.
Please.
Well, the thought came to mind. It's like,
Really? 7 charter?
Please.
7?
I say, I might have to retire if those.
But we do have the ability to absorb some of those students if it went a key to that.
Yes, we have.
Yes.
Board members, I just want to share this with you. It was put here, but we didn't look at it. It's so heavy, it's almost hard to pick up. This is the plaque that was presented to Dr. Cindy Peterson. It is absolutely gorgeous, just beautiful. And I guess this is the article.
No, that's
Is it-
just that they
Oh.
pushed out on social media.
Oh, they pushed this out on social media. Oh, you look good.
Why do you act surprised by that? Is that kind of bad?
well, back in, it's nice, you look good.
And you may have noticed at the beginning of the meeting, we had some of the pictures from the EdCal article that AXA puts out with just a couple of pictures of not only some of the attendees, but also Dr. Peterson receiving her award. So I think that was a selfie moment.
That's Christine.
That's
Yeah,
Christine.
Dr.
Taking
McCormick
herself.
taking a selfie.
We're back there, we're in the back somewhere, Tara.
Is that the old room?
Yeah. We were having a unity, it's on Huntington Beach, we were having a unity reception that night.
Oh,
There
and
you go,
it was
there you go.
white, huh?
Yeah, with our team there, we were looking
Is it
pretty
a white
sharp.
night?
Ah,
Yeah, we got the photo.
And there, that's when I got my award, so it's very nice. And then they put it in this, yeah, they put it in this huge box, because it weighs about 10
Yeah,
pounds.
it's heavy.
And I had
It
to
is
carry
very
it
heavy.
through the
Yeah,
airport,
so
because I had
very
not left enough space in my suitcase.
And letting the metal detector
I
go off. right?
if you can come by and pick it up, I'm not gonna try to pass it down, it's heavy. But
Congratulations.
it's just gorgeous.
I think probably the nicest thing was, Catherine Castleberry, on my side over here is the one who introduced me. And the one thing that she said, other than reading my bio, she said, "Don't be surprised." She said, something like, "Don't be fooled by her." Because she may look like she's all calm and everything, but she's got a fire. I said that was the nicest thing anyone's ever said about me.
And the little lady on the side over here is my boss
Yeah.
that I work with at AXA,
Yeah, it was a
Marguerite.
very nice experience.
So thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, we will now recess for closed session. And 15.1, anticipated litigation. So
Where are we doing that?
we have a room we're going to. So you may need to see us.
Where'd you speak today?
Promotes and powers.
Yeah.
Every
Where'd you come from? 26.
I had to see Tyler.
But it involves both. Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But I don't want her saying, so
Yeah.
I want to get you large.
Okay. Gotcha. I'll be here and I can relay anything, or we can set up another lunch too.
It's mostly good, because I met with,
She's gonna work on
really good. And checking with the goals, the road plans, and I'm gonna, at the end of the day, with all our parcels.
We talked to engineers, Tyler,
Because the remodels.
It hasn't been
We can't do everything.
he's gonna send you the text.
Okay.
And I wouldn't.
I'm good.
I was like, I will not take any charges, but I can make their.
We're still live streaming this year.
Yeah.
First.
Did it work? That's cool. Did you send out our query for counselors? After all this work? I know, but we're gonna forget about it.
And I usually get.
Good. Don't care about it at the beginning of next
Our average activities completed.
Thank you for
Not too stressed. Maybe hope for a miracle.
Yeah.
The median's 21.
Interesting. So the picture
Next I'm gonna run it by teacher.
like one of the and actually ahead. No, he did less than 50. He always does less than 50. But he consistently does whatever. He consistently does 2 quizzes or a quiz. For 4 days. He doesn't do it afterwards. But because the activities are so different, it really makes a difference.
But I was like, I wish there was something.
Over time, should be
Right.
To like 50 September.
well, whatever the number is.
Right.
Should have.
manufacturing welding.
Such a shit.
I don't know. I want to look at it like he's the heavy
So I'm just,
Like
For the semester.
for him.
Yeah.
so I
So is that why he doesn't need to be?
It's good to.
Because our calculation was that 50 credits would get you 25. 50 accumulated, another 100 would get you roughly 20.
they might be better than I'm getting.
So it's going to be our calculation.
They got beat.
Yeah, it is exciting.
So I think
Just to be able to fold.
Oh, come on.
Also, I relooked at integration and Canvas for
Pretty sure
Just Canvas do the
be on short rest, but
I'm not sure you're. We're still live on camera.
being able to use to pull just the
We were
video.
planning to remain appropriate.
Because it didn't get to that. So
It
you're
only, there's only it's basically assessments are unsolved. Things that are, except for quizzes.
Yeah.
Quizzes are sufficient.
But is it through, like, is it like there's like basically just a folder that
Yeah, it's like you can, it looks like you can build your own
just, and then it's like the, I would plug
and
that
then
video in.
the video would play, but then like maybe the next assignment was.
Whatever I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Because that's what it even used to do. And so I'm just cautious because I went through the whole, get the people on the whatever, and they're like, oh no, it doesn't do that. And I'm just like, well, then what? And they were like basically still the whole ingenuity lesson just in Canvas. I mean, that certainly
So
helps me zero.
it seems like you can pull it in individually, so you can pull in like direct instruction.
That's my question. That would be my question.
Yeah,
Like,
that's what it looks like, but yeah, that's the last thing.
so I'm working on another thing because Josie was having trouble making a sample for co-op. And she just printed a page in a Ludo where you click and like little pop-up comes and it's like, oh, here's the one sentence that they wrote.
Yeah.
And where I was like, yeah, I don't know about a one sentence.
Yeah, I never watched the ones in.
So,
Oh, but we did the ones like the grid video, we printed the picture of the two guys.
I basically, I haven't done it yet, but I'm gonna take Tiffany's Curious connection thing and make a generic graphic organizer that you could use in the last 5 minutes of anything you ever taught.
Yeah.
Where it just like summarize the key ideas in your own words, and then you pick any of the other 3. How does this connect to your life, the world, or your learning? How has it changed the way you think about something, or what ideas do you want to challenge? And so if they do like 3 to 5 sentences for each,
Do they feel like, I mean, that seems like extra work.
Yeah, but it's also like a pedagogy activity for
I don't disagrry.
teachers that maybe aren't the right yeah, but an example.
I mean, I think there's some that lend themselves better to samples than others. But maybe that's,
I kind of
that's
don't
a
care what
good
they do, but I just
question.
want them not to have an excuse, so I can be like, here.
Like, is there a norm about what? A simple, I mean, like, what?
We're on
one sentence
camera,
or-
so I can't comment on that.
Like, actually, the question.
Email you.
Are they coming back in here?
Yes, they are.
Okay, I
I met the other one. Actually, I just reviewed it. Okay. Did we get one of
That's simple.
No, you're basically an answer.
I
And so just where you just have to-
You don't want to take a chance. We're uncomfortable.
They actually. Yeah, we all. Well, there's just always.
And I still fire one person to do it.
But that's their one. That's the total. Yeah.
And we're hiring one more, maybe another?
Yeah, to our students.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's great.
And the age of technology. I can't put a video. So,
We're representing.
Yeah.
You're saying you want to use our budget?
No, I'm just saying. This is like.
In the Senate, it's the state capital.
We'll pay for it.
Poster machine. But I know I have to do it.
Yes, we do that. That's what. There are places that.
But we take it along right now. I mean, it doesn't get It's six. But it's not horrible.
What do you, I mean, like,
It's gonna be a little slow.
it now backs up. What do you?
Because we're supposed to elsewhere.
I know, it bothers me, and you don't have to do it all the time. So just in between 99 and all the which I do not ever encounter in my airport. For my now, house, we're not gonna get that.
They're doing it all over the.
Not my.
Typically though, I'm driving to the airport.
Doesn't matter. I'm 5 minutes, so I was like, whoa, no. This was not in.
Right, that's a great.
We went down.
That's what always hangs me up, is that parking garage is full, and then you gotta
Have you been there?
I just walked around your
I
house.
believe it's full.
go. What do you think?
So did you have to park her?
Like economy?
You can get a shuttle and you have to go right in.
Where are you, Chris? Where?
Kaepernick? Kaepernick.
1,
1, 2, 3, 4.
1607. Yeah, they're reading this list of names, and my name's on it, and they're all, the rest of them are on the staff, and
Oh, I believe it. I believe it. Oh. Respect for this. Over the piano.
Yeah, yeah. What, is she cleaning up the table? I kept thinking something looks different here.
She just removed her.
All right, where it is?
I'll handle it.
You'll handle it? All right. I will come back with the report on our closed session. The board took action by a vote of 5-0 to ratify the payment of penalties in the amount of $18,300 to the State of California Department of Industrial Relationship. Motion by Jack and second by Mark. So that is what happened in closed session. And now, if there is nothing else, I'll give it back to him. Thank you. If there are no other questions or comments, I will entertain a motion for adjournment. Second, okay, all in favor? Aye. Meeting's adjourned. Thank you. Okay, will be careful driving again?
Yeah.
All right, you take it easy. Take it easy.
Yes, sir.
I see you wrote everything down.
I did, yeah, I have it.
Yeah, I give it.